Hello, hello, hello. How are y'all doing? Make sure y'all can hear me. Let me see here. Let me see. See if y'all can hear me. There's someone popping in. Let me see here. Can y'all hear me?
There's someone popping in.
Okay. I had to check my other device. Well, welcome in to my.
Can y'all hear me?
It's gonna call this a healing through reflection series. I just felt led to come on here and talk about this today, but why reflection is the key to healing. And I'll just tag a few people to come in. Let's see. Let me just tag a few people. And let me know how you're doing as you come in to the live. We're going to be talking about healing through reflection. Trying to hold on a few minutes till some people come on. But hey, I'm just going to go ahead and roll with it. Excuse me. Again, like I said today, I just want to starting a healing through reflection series, and I just want to touch on a few topics. And today we're going to start with why reflection is key to healing. Reflection is key to healing. So, briefly, I would like to introduce myself to those of you who don't know who I am, may not know who I am. My name is Deborah Jefferson. I am a self-published author. I feel like I'm on another group right now, Clubhouse. But self-published author, and I started out writing poetry, and then I have a memoir also that I've written, and just doing that, it helps me to reflect on past times, healing through reflection. And y'all may hear some grandbabies in the background. Life is life. It's always real life around here. But the goal of the series is going to be like just to help people to heal through self-reflection with Harriet's thoughts. That's what it's all about, is sharing your thoughts, your words, your story, in a way that it will help you to heal. And we're going to talk about those different things and just about self-awareness and self-reflection and things like that. So first, I would like to ask, for those of you may even catch this in the replay, stay on the porch, okay? Don't go off the porch. And basically, what is reflection to you? If anybody comes on, I'm gonna give it a few minutes and see. But the question would be, what is reflection? What is reflection? What is reflection? What is reflection to you? Reflection is basically a process of looking inward and understanding your experiences and learning from them, basically. That's what reflection is. You look inward and you focus on the things, you think about the things that you've been through, the experiences that you've been through, and the choices that you've made, just a number of things like that. The choices you made, why trying to figure out why you made those choices. And it's usually you're trying to figure out why you made those choices that reflected in a negative way for you. I just want to share, I'll share a personal story that will show how self-reflection helped me in my healing journey. And again, like I said, writing, that's why I wrote my latest book, A Rose Wrapped in Thorn. Well, this camera. I may take it off of the let me see, I may take the background off so that you all can see it. Hold on. I will take the background off. Take the virtual background off. Ooh, there we go. Let me see. Bear with me, y'all, on this camera.
Mama.
Hold on.
Mama.
Hold on, Mimir.
Since I ate food, can I have some cookies, please?
Come back. Come back, cause you've been out there long enough. That's right. Hmm? They don't want to fight. Go give me that book back there, Ray. Go give me that book.
Here you go.
Thank you. I'm gonna start my live back over. Watch out! Watch out! Watch out! Watch out! Go! 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 Okay. Am I still on? Yeah, I'm still on. So sorry about that. I lost connection for a minute. Thank you, Latoya. I had a connection issue with my camera, but the topic is healing through reflection. And I'm talking about why reflection is key to healing. And thank you so much for staying on. I appreciate you. Oh, there we go. Trying to show you a comment, but yeah, thanks so much for coming on with me. I'm just talking about healing through reflection and why reflection is key to healing. And I was doing some stuff with my camera, and that's what was going on. So basically, I was saying that one of the things that can help you with reflection is writing, of course. And I know you're a writer as well, like myself. And my latest book, A Rose Wrapped in Thorns, I was sharing basically an experience that I went through to bring about, why I started, decided to write. So because writing is therapeutic, and as I'm writing and writing out, the experiences that I went through and everything, it helped me to reflect on my life and the things that I went through. So that's why I wanted to share with them my book, Rose Wrapped in Thorns. And I had to change my little background quick. But A Rose Wrapped in Thorns, where as I was writing the book, I was reflecting on my life and the experience that I had during this time period in my life. And that's what I was basically doing. This has been an introduction of why healing through reflection, and why it's key to healing. So with that being said, basically the goal of this, I'm gonna try to start a little series here called Healing Through Reflection. And the goal of this series is to basically help viewers to heal through self-reflection, and you do that by writing or journaling, and just it helps you to be more self-aware of what you been going through, what you've got going on, and in order to help you make better choices in life, and just to be aware, and not necessarily make better choices, but just to help you be more aware of what's going on around you, the people that are around you, so that you can live a more positive life, a more fulfilling life. And then defining reflection, some people may say, well, what is reflection? It's more than just looking in the mirror, right? Reflection is more than just looking in the mirror. Yes, baby. Get you a juice. Okay, yeah, I'm still on grandma duty. But I don't know if you're still on, Latoya, or not, but if you are, pop back on. But I see I have two people going. I'm like her Latoya, say hey y'all. But basically, again, like I said, healing reflection rather is the process of looking inward and understanding your experiences and then learning from them. So again, that's why I okay, I see you still here. Thank you. And you could tag some of the other ladies if you like. But basically that's the whole point of reflection. Just kind of remembering your experiences and sharing those. And I would share um a personal story about self-reflection and how it helped me in my healing journey. Again, that's why I was talking about the book. I wrote this book when I was going through, I wrote the book after the relationship or towards the end when I was planning, my exit strategy to get out of that relationship. And I wrote the story, from the things that I went through. I wrote the story. And for me, that was therapeutic. That was part of because I had to really dig deep, within myself and look at myself and say, hey, Deborah, you had a part in this as well. You were attracted to this young man. You were building a life with this young man. So there, I had to accept my part, and I had to look deep and inward and reflect on things and figure out why. And I hate to say choose, but we choose the people that we want to be with, and I chose that person, and I had to reflect on why I chose that person, or the things that happened during the relationship, the good things and the bad. And when reflection is part of all of that, you're looking at everything. You're thinking about all the things that you went through, all the choices that you made, the decisions, the day in and day out. That's what reflection is for me. And basically, when you do that, you can recognize different patterns. That, like I said, the patterns. Um, in my case with this relationship, I was attracted to the kind nature, or the kind nature that the person portrayed. I was attracted to that, and I think some traits are just naturally in people. So I was attracted to those types of things. Those things drew me to this young man, and I therefore, couldn't had a relationship. But I had to reflect on that and say, hey, is it something more? What is it that you needed, or that you thought you needed, or that you did need, or that you were lacking, and this person fulfilled that void. So I had to think about all those things. But that's the whole point of reflection. And then, of course, so that brings us to our next topic of why is reflection important for healing? For a few reasons. One, self-awareness. Two, recognizing patterns. Three, emotional release. Four, growth and transformation. Now, with self-awareness, it helps you to understand your emotions and your reactions, right? So with me, I had to think about when things would happen in the relationship and how I dealt with them, how I responded to them. I had to reflect on all of that, because you can give a certain response, and then you a response to an action, and then that encounters, it makes the person or whoever, some people are fueled off of a certain reaction from you. They get a high off of it, or they, euphoric. It's type of like, I want to say kind of like a euphoric hot feeling. People can get a high off of, getting a rise out of you. And then so I had to think about those different things of why I allowed certain things to go on, why I behaved in a certain way, why I accepted certain behaviors. And again, on the next topic of recognizing patterns and identifying toxic cycles or behaviors that need to change. So with me, myself, because I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for another person, but I had to recognize my behaviors that were unhealthy, that needed to change. As far as I had some people pleasing behaviors, some codependency issues, things, a lot of things that are in there. When I reflect on my life, and I can see certain traits, and I say, okay, well, this is something, Deborah, that you need to work on. So that's again part of reflection. That's why one of the reasons why reflection is so important. And then emotional release. That's a big one. because a lot of people don't want to release their emotions. They don't want to hold everything out bottled up inside, or I'm tough as nails. Anybody gonna hurt me? Put my heart on. I was at Marion. Put my heart on ice. No, we not ice boxes walking around here. We not. We not. You have to release those emotions and do it in a healthy way. And again, that brings me back to the journaling or writing, or whether it's with this one I wrote a memoir, so I told a story. With other books I've written poetry where I just straight out express my feelings of how I felt about different situations. So either way, that's a good way of an emotional release, of letting those things go and just putting it out on paper and processing that pain. And then this brings us to growth and transformation. Growth and transformation allows you to learn from your past experiences and make intentional changes. So you had to think about the stuff that you went through and be intentional with your next, be intentional with your life going forward, saying, hey, okay, these are the things that I was attracted to, for instance. So, and certain traits are in certain, people. So I had to think about, okay, hey, Cecilia, thanks for joining. I had to think about, when I was reflecting on that, I had to think about the things that, okay, well, why was yes, come on, just let me know, I'm ready for you. But I had to think about why I was attracted to this person, or why, I, accepted them into my life. So when you, as a transformation and growth, you have to be intentional with changing and growing, because it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen by itself. You have to actually make a decision and do it. So, and that's that part. And so I've worked through those parts of myself as well. And like I said, I'm using real life examples, of course, but like I said, the relationship that I was in a Rose Wrapped in Thorns, in that relationship, there were some different parts that I just like, what in the world was I, accepting? Why did I accept these different types of behaviors? And, why was I attracted to this person? But and with that, I would like to read a little short poem before I go on to the next one. And this will kind of sum it up, actually. It's the same name as the book. It's called A Rose Wrapped in Thorns. This isn't in the beginning of the book. So when you get your copy, you'll see it. But it says, how can something so evil be wrapped in light, illuminating so bright that you lose your sight? Like a rose wrapped in thorns, each touch makes you bleed, but you can't see through the leaves, so it's hard to believe. And that is truly how I felt. I couldn't see it. I was blinded. I was blinded by the light. I couldn't see what was really going on. And this person, they were, I don't want to necessarily call someone, this is how I was feeling when I wrote this poem. He said you had to fix me to stop attracting the same man in different. Exactly. Exactly. Because I said, he had some traits that were actually opposite. Had to know if thanks for coming on. He had some traits that were opposite from my ex-husband. So it's like I was attracted to, I needed to be wanted. I needed to be needed. And I was like, and now as I've, gotten out of that relationship and moved on and, wrote the book and everything, as I'm doing my reflecting, I'm like, okay, I start looking deeper. Well, why do I have this need to be needed? I got to think about those things, and it goes deeper. If you wonder, okay, certain things that you're attracted to, certain behaviors, say, well, some people say that build a bear thing, you want to fix people. I'm not trying to do that anymore. I'm not saying that I'm perfect by a long shot, but I had this need to be needed, this deep seated need to be needed, even with my family and, children and stuff. Right. Exactly. And we carry that with us. And so the more they need us, the stronger our feelings or love grows for that person, because you're like, oh, they need me, they want me, I have a purpose, I'm doing something, and it's not healthy for you. It really is not healthy for you or the other person. But it's not healthy because that person, some people are just takers. Some people are just straight takers, and they're going to take all the love and attention and the help and whatever you have to, you're doing, that you're giving. They're going to take and take and take and take and take. And then you're left, right? You're left with nothing. It says, you say you learned that God was missing out of my life, and only he could find, feel. Exactly. And I was sad to say, I felt like I was taking God right along with me, but I wasn't listening to him. He was telling me, giving me little warning signs like, no, Deborah, I'm trying to, try to take him away from you. And right, exactly. It would right, exactly. That's what I said. Like, it stemmed even from, like I said, going back some of the issues in my marriage as well before that relationship. There was a lot of things in there. It's like you need to be needed. And that's not health. That's very toxic. And so I'm just recognizing as reflection. We're talking about reflection. You have to recognize those patterns that you have. Like I said, I accept my patterns as well. You have to recognize those patterns and be intentional about going forward with changing your behaviors. Because it's really a behavior. If you look at it from that standpoint, it's a behavior. Anything that you're doing physically. Oh, excuse me, in this camera, you guys. Hold on. I knocked the camera down. Let me know if you hold on. Hold on, CC. I know y'all still hear me, but I don't. Hold on. I'm gonna refresh the camera. Hold on. Okay, now let's see. What is going on today? I'm gonna refresh it. Okay. Okay. There we go. CC, you still there? Everybody. Thank you. I'm back now. But yes, I must have been saying something good, and yeah, we're not going to even give that no attention. But I hope you're still there, CC. But like I was saying, yeah, I had to sit there and think about the behaviors that I was, portraying, as well as the behaviors that I was accepting. Good evening, Sarah. Thanks so much for joining. We're talking about reflection and healing through reflection. But I was saying, right now we're talking about growth. Why is reflection important for healing? And we're on growth and transformation, and you learning about from your past and being intentional about changes. And I was talking about behaviors at this point. If I had to recognize, hey, okay, thank you, I moved my camera, but you have to be intentional with changing your behaviors and the things that you will accept and not accept, and the things that even and accept your role in it. I had to accept my role in it. So but just thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Just talking about our next topic, number 4, is common barriers to reflection. There are barriers to reflection. It takes sometimes, it takes a while to actually come to that point to where you're ready to even look deeper and look within to reflect on, the situation. And some of those barriers are fear of facing the truth. I mean, how many of you all have had a fear of facing the truth at some point in your life? Sarah says, yes, we have to take the steps and accept our role or responsibility. Exactly. We have to. That's a part. If you don't do that, you're not gonna, it's gonna be a long road for you. It's camera, Lord Jesus. If you don't take time and reflect, it's gonna be a long road. That your healing journey is gonna be a long road. And so we have to pay attention to that. And this computer screen. Sorry about that. But yeah, right, for your healing. Sarah says, we have to take the steps and accept our role of responsibility. Exactly. We have to take our role and accept that, And then another barrier is avoidance due to pain or trauma. That's a big one. How many of you can say that you've at one point in time to avoid reflection that you've tried your best to avoid, And what you said, CC, you noticed that the issues were everywhere. I went, right, exactly, because they're not going to go away until you deal with them. They're not going to go away. You got to deal with them. You got to go face them head on. I remember at one point, and even after I had, I think I had already written the book, I believe. And I went to Athens, Georgia. I was doing a lift ride. I went to Athens, Georgia, to drop someone off, and I saw a sign that said Greenville, and my heart started racing. I'm like, what in the world's going on? Yeah, this was before I actually finished writing the book. I was like, oh my God, like what in the world? And I had to sit back. If I got home, I had to sit back and think and realize that I still have some trauma, as so after dealing with that, situation, that relationship, and some stuff that I hadn't processed. You just kind of like you leave the situation and then you just figure like, okay, you're good now, but no, it's deeper than that. Bless you, baby.
Take us to the park.
Not right now, Granny's talking to some people right now. Okay, we'll go later. Okay, or we'll go on a day on the weekend. I still grandma, y'all. So, but yeah, so I had to like take a step back and realize that I still hadn't dealt with everything. I had to process it. So, healing takes time, reflection, but reflection is a big part of stay on the porch, okay? Um, like I said, reflection is a big part of your healing. And like you said, Sarah, I had to look at myself honestly and without defenses. I look at my past to remember how far I've come, though I have not arrived. I'm on my way. Right, exactly. You have to process it, and you don't have to. And it's not a race where we all gotta, you're running to the finish line. No, healing is linear. Healing is not just a one thing, one time fix all or whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. Sometimes things still come up for me. Even from my marriage, things still come up for me. After being divorced and everything at different times. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I dealt with that. So some things sometimes you have to still go back and reflect on things. And as far as back to the common barriers to reflection, another one is feeling overwhelmed by your emotions. That's a big one too, because having to deal with those emotions and to have the feelings, all that rush into you, like it does something to you. You have all the different endorphins and stuff going on, and you're feeling all the things, and it's like, wow, wait a minute. I don't want to feel that, or I'm just gonna, push it back, but you can't. And you're right, Sarah. It's a part of our human experience. Exactly. We have to, you know, deal with these our emotions. We have to, it's okay to cry. It's okay to, cry about the situation, scream, even laugh about the situation if you need to, if that's part of your process with you dealing with it and learning, and healing and noticing your patterns and your behaviors. If that'll help you, as you're journaling or writing, express those emotions. We are human. We all bleed the same color red, all that. So excuse me, don't hold back, because you're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting yourself. So right, Sarah, just don't stay stuck in it. Exactly. Don't stay stuck there. No, you yeah, you gotta, shed those tears, whatever, and then let them go and keep going. Keep pushing yourself to say, hey, I'm gonna work through this, I'm gonna process this. I'm gonna continue going forward. You have to be intentional, what we talked about earlier. And then another common barrier to reflection is not knowing where to start. Some people are like, okay, what do I do? Just start. Just say, hey, I want to change. Hey, I'm gonna start paying more attention to, for my case, the types of men, that I allowed in my life, or even friends at some point. Sometimes, you gotta start being more intentional with all of that. Even who you deal with in work, business. Hey, Sharice, thank you so much for joining. Even who you deal with in work or business or any of that, you gotta start being more intentional with all of that. As you go through and reflect on, we're talking about healing through reflection. As you reflect on the different things, like even Sharice, when we were going over your book this morning, your book also, you wrote a memoir, and you had to reflect on everything that you went through, and that helps you to grow as a person and to heal. Right, make practical goals. Exactly. And start small and stay consistent. That's a good thing too as well, Sarah. Make those practical goals, start small and stay consistent. Right, you just got to start somewhere, and then just take a step one day, take another step the next day, and another step the next day. Just keep going. Even if you fall and stumble a little bit, but still get back up and keep going, keep trying, and stay focused on your healing. Stay focused on, getting better and becoming a better individual, making better choices. You got to be intended. Right, your mindset. Exactly. It's your mindset. You got to keep a positive mindset and stay focused. Exactly. And sorry about that.
It's my AirPods on.
Leave it alone, baby, okay? And also another one is common barriers offering reassurance. It's okay to feel uncomfortable because healing begins on the outside of your comfort zone, right? The outside, not the inside, the outside. You know, that's where the real healing begins. When it starts getting real uncomfortable, and you're like, oh, bad, I feel bad even when I think about this, or oh, I don't even want to deal with this, and you keep doing, but you got to keep doing it. But those when you get those moments and you don't want to deal with a certain, step in your healing process, that's when you know that step is definitely important. Right, Sarah, that step is definitely important. That step is so important because yeah, it's your brain is trained to go run somewhere, like I ain't dealing with this. I'm shutting this off, put this back here somewhere, back there in the back somewhere. No, that's when you definitely need to face that issue head on. Like face it head on, like Lord, help me with this, help me deal with this. Philippians 4:13, one of my favorite scriptures. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You have to have something to hold on to, whether it's your scriptures or just your conversations with God. You have to have something to hold on to, talk to him like, look, Lord, I can't do this by myself, that really hurt me, or that the way that situation happened, Lord, I don't know how to bounce back from this. He depend on him, focus and trust and be proactive, and you will get through it. You will get through it. Now, number 5 is our practical reflection exercise, and I want to give you guys a prompt, and just put your answers in the comment if you would like to. And that prompt is: think about a moment in your life that changed you, and how did it shape the person that you are today? And if you don't want to put, you could just put a 1 if you have a, something that had changed. If you don't want to put the actual thing in the comments. But just give me a 1 in the comments if you have a moment, if you have something that you can think about where you had a moment in your life that changed you, and how did it shape the person that you are today. I'll give you guys a second to answer that. Okay, Latoya says 1. Sarah giving them praise and hands. Okay. All right. All right. Sarah got her 1. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. So and then just, as you both did put a 1 in there. So just write that, of course, write your thoughts down, because you both are writers as well as myself. So write those thoughts down. And if you would like to share them in the comments, definitely. Okay, Sharice is replying to Dr. Latoya Mack: the death of my 3 loved ones, it turned me back into the way my grandma raised me. Right. That was your turning point, Sharice. And I can understand that. That was your turning point. So yeah, that was a moment that changed you. And it changed you for the good. It changed you for the better. So that's a positive thing in your life. So yeah, I know sometimes it's, hurt, painful to think about the loss of your loved one. And I can definitely understand that. But then you can turn it into the positive and saying, hey, because of, losing them, made me change my life and get my act together, made me be a better person, to make them proud of me, they're in heaven looking down at me. You made some changes in your life, and you made those changes even though they were not here anymore. You could have just said, oh well, whatever, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. But no, you made a conscious decision. You were intentional, and you changed your life around. And that takes strength. That definitely takes strength and a lot of reflecting and everything. So proud of yourself for that, Sharice. The baby don't knock nothing down. But would anyone else like to share their moment that changed their life? Or if not, I can it's fine if you don't want to share. Just write it down for yourself in your journals so that you can you can work on that and process that. I had something I was gonna show y'all, but I don't have that journal with me right now. But for those that need a journal, you can go to Amazon, and I have a Believe in Yourself Sis line journal as well. And Sarah says that moment when that moment was when I lost my husband I had a mental breakdown, and it took about 15 years before I was able to cope with his sudden passing. It has caused me to live bigger, better, and bolder, realizing how short life is. I can definitely understand that. Shh. I can definitely understand that, Sarah. I know we talked about that when you came on my show several months ago. Shh. I'm doing something right now. I'll be done in a little bit, okay? I'll be done in a few minutes, okay? Not, wait a minute, okay? Not right now. And sorry about that, guys. But yeah, like I said, I'm on grandma duty. But yeah, going through that traumatic experience, losing your husband, that's enough to send anybody, into a swirl, of emotions, and you got lost in that sea of emotions. I'm sure you did, especially with it being suddenly. So I can definitely imagine. I can't even imagine exactly how you must have felt, because I haven't gone through that myself. But yeah, that was your defining moment. So and of course, myself sharing a brief personal response to the prompts. Um, Basically, like I was just saying, to take these thoughts, and I know you've processed them and everything, but just sometimes you have to sit back and think about them again, and like, okay, have I fully dealt with this situation? Have I processed it? Because life healing is not, like I said, it's not one size fits all. It's different for everyone, and you may be at one point on your healing journey, and another person may be another part in their healing journey. I mean, that's why it's called a journey, because we're all on different levels, but we're all working towards something positive, right? We're all working towards something positive. So, excuse me, this pollen is not my friend. But just to summarize a few key takeaways. Again, you know, you have those barriers, of course, to reflection. So just remember and be mindful of those, like the fear of facing the truth, avoidance due to pain or trauma, feeling overwhelmed by emotions, and not knowing where to start. And remember to offer yourself reassurance as well. And also, for the reflection being important for your healing, is one, self awareness, two, recognizing those patterns, three, emotional release, and four, growth and transformation. And again, going back over what is reflection. Reflection is the process of looking inward on the inside and understanding your experiences. That's what reflection is. Understanding your experiences, looking inward. And I would like to thank you guys so much for joining me today. I just came on. I was like, I hadn't been on for a little bit, and I need to get back at it. I have a purpose. This is not just for me. Someone else may need to hear this as well. So I hope that you all enjoy this live. Let me know in the comments. Give me a 10 in the comments. No, give me some fire emojis in the comments. Wait a minute. I'll be done in a couple minutes. Give me some fire emojis in the comments. If you all enjoyed the live. And I will be coming back again with another one soon. So give me some fire emojis and let me know in the comments. And I don't know if um my hold on, it might be lagging a little bit. Let me see. It might be lagging a little bit. Okay. It might not be showing the emojis, Sarah Latoya. Yeah, I could put a one in it because I just see your names. It doesn't show me. Hold on, baby. Hold on. I'm almost done, okay?
But Roxy in the bushes.
She all right. She like to be in the bushes. She's talking about the dog, you guys. Yeah, she's talking about the dog.
Bye.
Girl. Okay, I see you fire, and I had to do the phone too. Oh my goodness, I see now. I had to put the phone up there. I see him now. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for coming on here with me. Thank you both of y'all. Okay, you had to refresh too. Now they're showing on the computer screen. They weren't showing at first. So and I look like I'm behind on my phone too. But like I said, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on here with me tonight. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that you all enjoyed the conversation. And yeah, I'm gonna start just talking about different topics as well. Hold on a second, baby. Okay. 1 minute. All right, I had to get in grandma mode. But again, thank you guys so much for coming on. Right, I see your fire, Sharice. Sharice said fire, fire. All right, and then here's Sarah's and fire emojis. And a one. That's right, Sarah. Give it all. And there's Latoya. She put it in there twice. I see. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a big lag, But yeah, ladies. So thank y'all so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and I will be back again soon. This looks like might be a good time for me to start coming on too. And yeah, some my grandbaby wants to play in the camera. But again, thank y'all so much, and I will talk to y'all next time. And this has been Deborah J with Harabed's Thoughts. Conversations that heal, and the night's topic was healing through reflection, and why reflection is key to healing. All right, you have a blessed night as well, Sharice. Everyone have a blessed night. Thank y'all so much for joining me. All right, bye bye.